Hey guys, this is Jimmy Recinos down in Myrtle Beach. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the latest when it comes to our real estate market in the Myrtle Beach areas. That includes North Myrtle down to Pali's Island. Anyways, anywhere in the Grand Strand. We're going to take a deep dive, see what the property values are at this moment in time, and we'll also discuss what does it mean that the CPI came at 7.1% today. Is that good news? Is that bad news? Well, why don't we go ahead and dive right into it? So the first thing I want to share with you guys is what I believe to be one of the most important charts available to us real estate agents in my market. Now, what we're going to take a look here is essentially the real estate chart for property values and or median sales prices for our entire MLS. Now, what you guys are going to quickly notice is that this here is for the entire MLS. Comes from InfoSparks, which is essentially a website for us real estate agents. And the median sales prices for the entire MLS, again, going through all the way up to North Myrtle Beach, Little River, down to Pali's Island, essentially all of Myrtle. And what we've noticed is that since 2003, we've seen property values go all the way up. We hit a market top back in 2007, and then we saw a bottom for the real estate market in the 2010 to 2015-ish time frame. Now, since then, we've seen property values skyrocket, and for a couple of things, a couple of reasons. And one of those main reasons is going to be the situation that we went through, right, where the businesses had to close, and a lot of demand was pent up. A lot of owners decided to not sell, and a lot of buyers decided not to buy, and what that caused was this humongous spike in property values. Now, if you guys were to see this chart and you were to see that we've had a very unprecedented amount of property value increase over the years, right, we can see a trend here. Now, here's what I'm imagining is that we've had almost 10 years, if not more, of positive property value growth. And now we're starting to see the market shift. We're seeing the market going from a seller's market to now changing to a more moderate market. Now, here's what happened, right? So now we've seen this chart. Now we see where we are currently is we are at the top. We've seen this once before in the last 20 years. That was in 07, 08, and then we know what happened afterwards. Now, I do not expect this to happen again, so that's good news. However, I do believe that we're going to see something similar. Now, to the extent, well, that depends. Some people say 5%. Some people say 10, 15, 20%. And in the worst case scenarios, we may see 25%. However, what that's going to do is a 25% drop, worst case scenario, would just bring us down to property values that we saw back in 2020, back in 2019, which aren't terrible, but they're not as great as they are today. So now we got the CPI numbers, right? CPI numbers came out today. And what the CPI numbers said was that we are coming down on that inflation number, going from that 9.1 a few months back, then down to 8, now at 7. This is a good trend. Now, the Fed, right, the ones that make the decisions on whether interest rates go up or go down, they're pretty much saying 7.1, this could be good, but it's not the number we want. Now, as you know, the Fed wants to keep a number of around 2.1, 2.2, somewhere in the 2s. They just want the inflation number to be in the 2s. That's preferred. However, at 7, we're still a ways from that. So what we can anticipate tomorrow, the 14th, is that we will see the Fed do an interest rate hike. Now, here's what I'm thinking. I think they're going to go ahead and go with a medium-sized interest hike because they have to continue to raise the rates. At 7%, they still got to continue to raise. So that number, instead of being a 7.5, we could be looking at 0.5. A 0.5 interest rate hike would be very positive, I think, because what that means is that the Fed's is signaling to the markets that they're going to ease off on their aggressive interest rate hikes, and by doing so, it's signaling the market that better days are to come. Now, if that doesn't occur, and if the Fed does decide to move forward and continue to raise interest rates, what that would mean is that we're not going to see a slowdown in interest rate hikes, and that would be more negative than positive. Because with the consumer, the buyers, they're going to anticipate that it's going to become more and more difficult to buy property at a cheaper value. So guys, the real thing that we have to focus on at this moment is what's going to happen tomorrow. What is the Fed going to ultimately do regarding interest rates? Whether it's a positive or a negative, we're going to find out soon. But my thought process is this: if you have a property, if you were lucky enough to have bought a property in this area, in my area, within the last 7-10 years, right? If you got in around that 2010 and all the way up to 2019 and 20, if you got in there, guys, please give it a thought, give it a consideration, because the matter of the fact is we haven't ever seen this type of market, only one other time, and we're past that. So the likelihood of this opportunity coming about again is just, I don't see it anytime soon. So if you have a property that you bought for $100,000 back in 2012, and you're thinking of selling, and you're thinking, you know what, it could be better for me to just wait for 2023 or 2024 to sell because I may make more money, I would tell you that that's not true. I would say that's very unlikely. Matter of fact, the longer you consider this, the less your property will become, because very clearly property values are beginning to change. So if you have a property, you bought it back 5-10 years ago, it may now be worth 100% more than what you bought it for. You could be looking at 100% return on investment, at the very minimum 50% plus. So if you are curious, if you want to know, hey, what is my home worth, Jimmy? Can you just give me a quick detailed explanation of what my house is worth, what my condo's worth? You know, I am happy to do that for you. It takes me but a few minutes of really good research, and then I can provide you guys with a very good number. So I look forward to helping you when the time does come. And in the meantime, please feel free to give me a text, shoot me a message. I'm always available, and I'm always happy to answer any of your questions. And thank you so much. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. We'll talk soon.